everyone to this live podcast on Twitch where you can get the news from the research industry that how our researcher and scientists keep on researching on various topics and this articles are posted on our website named postscientist.com. So if you are willing to check it out, please check it out. Otherwise listen to this podcast because it acts like an archive on the daily basis, and we provide the information to get you updated. And this podcast is for those listeners who are not able to read this article in their free time due to a busy scheduling, of course. So without wasting any time, let's get started with our first topic of the day: the different effects on storm tracks between upper and lower levels edgy growth over the North Pacific. Okay. A well known phenomenon in the atmospheric science that challenges the classic baroclinic instability theory of cyclone development in midwinter suppression, that is, the North Pacific storm track activity has a minimum in midwinter despite the surface baroclinicity being at its highest. The anomalous phenomena is most pronounced in the upper troposphere and almost absent in the lower troposphere. And then the difference can be fundamentally tracked back to an inherent inconsistency between the upper and lower level edgy growth. Although a series of advances have been made in the study of midwater suppression over the past few decades, little attention has been paid to the different roles played by the upper and lower level edges. Focusing on the discrepancies in the growth properties of upper and lower level edges is not only the key to understanding the baroclinic process that dominate the dynamics of the mid latitude climate, but also helps to improve future prediction of weather variability. In addition, focusing directly on the edgy growth process is more in line with the physical meaning of baroclinicity and has been really mentioned in the past. To this end, Cheming Ma and Professor Ming Bo from the School of Atmospheric Sciences, Nanjing University, China, used a Lagrange cyclone tracking algorithm to compare the different behavior of the upper and lower level edges from the perspective of edge generation and growth. This approach will serve to re-examine the midwinter suppression from the perspective of bioclinic development and further clarify which characteristics of the upper and lower level edges are responsible for inconsistency of midwinter suppression between the upper and lower troposphere, says Chen-Ming Ma, the corresponding author of the study. The findings has been published in atmospheric and oceanic science letters. The results show that the behavior of lower level edges in the North Pacific remains within the applicability of the baroclinic instability, while that of the upper level edges is more complex. Okay. Although the enhanced Pacific jet promotes the generation and development of upper level edges on the northeast side of the jet core, it also increasingly suppresses the generation on the northern west side. A more interesting conclusion was obtained by carefully examining the growth process of upper level edges. That is, the growth of upper level edges generated in the northwest Pacific is suppressed throughout the cold season, while those generated near the jet's exit can grow normally and eventually develop into the main body of the upper storm track. The close relation between the upper level edges and jet deserve further study and have potential implication for further revealing the important role played by the jet in the midwinter suppression. Hmm. Adds Chen-Ming Ma. At the same time, how to explain the discrepancy from the perspective of the vertical coupling of edges is another subject for us to investigate. Okay, so these are the findings being given by the researcher around the North Pacific region. That's how it changes its troposphere at the high temperature and the low temperature. So yes, of course, these are the findings of our researchers. Moving on towards the next topic: developing conductive and electrocatalytic mediators in Li lithium lithium's batteries. Lithium sulfide batteries. Lithium sulfide batteries are considered a promising and efficient energy storage system because of their high energy density, 2600 watt watt hour kilowatt per hour, and low surface material cost. Okay. However, numerous obstacles to the practical implementation of lithium sulfide batteries remain, including low surface conductivity, the shuttle effect, the requirement of an adequate volume change, 80% of sulfur during charging and discharging operations. This has this have limited the applicability of lithium sulfide batteries. Okay. Transition method: calno chalcogenides, TMDCs, such as molybdenum diselenide, MOS SE2, have received attention as a viable method for accelerating sulfur redox process. However, the limited number of active sites in molybdenum diselenide considerably reduces their overall electrocatalytic performance. Okay. Metal doping into uh, molybdenum diselenide can improve the electronic conductivity of molybdenum diselenide and generate defects, creates numerous reactive sites for catalytic systems. Moreover, polysulfide transformation in the lithium sulfide system can be improved through defect engineering, which can alter the cyclo physiochemical and electronic structure to enhance the adoption and catalytic properties of a material. Recently, Yuan Tung Dong and Jin Mang Zhang, corresponding author Muhammad A. Al Tahan, first author, and others published a manuscript titling Modulating of MOSAT Functional Plane. Okay. By adopting a defect engineering strategy for the development of conductivity and electrocatalytic mediators in lithium sulfide batteries in the Journal of Energy Chemistry. Okay. The author demonstrated introducing iron exposes more active selenium site in MOSA square, which can selectively absorb or more lithium polysulfides LiPs2 to minimize the shuttle effect. Moreover, the conductive feature of RGO improves the cell electrical conductivity and promotes the adoption of polysulfides via chemical bonding with the functional group of RGO. Therefore, using the Fe Mosert at the rate, sorry, Fe Mosert GRO nanohybrid as a functional plane offers the advantage of high conductivity and effective lithium lithium sulfide adoptions. So these are the one of the, I guess, not guessing it, but one of the major role in the conductive in the lithium ion batteries and in the lithium sulfide batteries, which will be, provide and promising system high energy density to the system on the without with have low surface material cost. So it's a great application for many for many for the uh, electric discharge, electric cars, or electric applications where we need a battery on the lithium ion, uh, where we need lithium ion batteries itself. So it's a great thing, of course. Okay, moving on towards next topic. Next, not the next topic, it's going to be the next news. Super typhoon, uh, super typhoon Noru slams into the Philippines. Sad. Okay, let's see. Super Typhoon Noru slammed into the Philippine Sunday battery, the heavily populated main island of Luzon, with strong winds and heavy rain that have forced thousands of people to flee their homes. Of course, the storm was packing maximum sustained winds of 195 kilometers, 121 miles an hour as it charged towards the archipelago nation after an unprecedented explosive intensification. The state weather forecaster said Noru, the strongest storm to hit the Philippines this year, made landfall in Verdes municipality on the Polillo Island, part of Siozon province at 5:30 p.m. 09:30 GMT. Videos posted on social media and verified by AFP showed trees swaying wildly as wind and rain whipped across the island. The weather Bureau issued warnings late Sunday for serious flooding in vulnerable areas of the capital, Manila, and nearby province as Noru dumped heavy rain. We ask residents living in danger zone to adhere to calls for evacuation whenever necessary. Philippine National Police Chief General Rodolfo Ozrin said. The Philippines is regularly ravaged by storms, with scientists warning that are becoming more powerful as the world gets warmer because of climate change. The winds were fierce this morning, said Ernesto Portillo, 30, who works as a cook in the coastal municipality of Infanta in Quezon. We are a bit worried. We are secured our belongings and bought a few groceries so we have a good just in case. Noru weakened to a typhoon as it swept across central Luzon. It is expected to enter the South China Sea on Monday and head towards Vietnam. Typhoons are like engines. You need a fuel and an exhaust to function, said weather forecaster Rob Gille. In the case of carding, it has a good fuel because it has plenty of warm waters along its track, and then there is good exhaust in the upper level of the atmosphere, so it's a good recipe for explosive intensification, he added, using the local name of the storm. The storm hit about 100 kilometers northeast of Manila. Emergency personnel braced for the possibility of strong winds and heavy rain battering the capital, home to more than 13 million people. Forced evacuation were underway in some high risk of the metropolis, including impoverished communities living in flimsy shacks along rivers. Gloria Perez, 68, was a part of group sheltering modular tents set up on a covered basketball court. I evacuated the house where I'm living in because I'm scared. The flood there's getting really high, Parvez told AFP. I don't want a repeat of what happened to me before. Okay. Calm before the storm, of course. Noru came 9 months after another super typhoon devastated swaths of the country, killing more than 400 people and leaving hundreds of thousands homeless. More than 8,300 people fled their homes before the latest storm hit, including residents in the several municipalities in Quezon, disaster officials said. In the neighboring province of Aurora, residents of Dinglang municipality were forced to seek shelter. People living near the coast have been told to evacuate. We live away from the coast, so we are staying put so far. We are more worried about the weather, about the water from the mountains, said Ria Tan, 54, a restaurant manager in Dinglan. The Weather Bureau warned of dangerous storm surges more than 3 meters high along the coast of Aurora and Quezon, including the Polillo Islands, along with widespread flooding and landslide as the storm soaks the region. It could topple coconut and mango trees and cause severe losses to rice and corn crops in the heavily agricultural region. While inundating villages, the Coast Guard reported more than 2,500 people had been left stranded by ferries cancellation as Vessels took shelters ahead of the storm. Dozens of flights in and out of Manila were also cancelled. School classes and non essential government services have been suspended for Monday. The Philippines, ranked among the most vulnerable nations to the impacts of climate change, is hit by an average of 20 storms every year. Hmm. Right. So these are the things. These are not the things. These are the news coming from the Philippines that it hits the one of the storm in his country. So yep. Moving on towards next topic. New archaeology dives into the mysterious demise of the Netherlands. Of course. Char from the ancient fires and stalagmite marks in caves hold clues to the mysterious disappearance of Netherlands from Europe. Hmm. For more than 35,000, yes, 35,000 years Netherlands inhabited Europe and Asia until, in a sudden change of evolutionary standard, they disappeared around 40,000 years ago. Sorry, for more than 350,000 Netherlands inhabited Europe and Asia until, in a certain change of evolutionary standards, they disappeared around 40,000 years ago. This was at around the same time the anatomically modern human Homo sapiens emerged from Africa. With their distinctive slow forehead, a large pelvis, and wide noses, Netherlands leave in their wake one of the great mysteries of human evolution. They lived during the middle to late Pleistocene epoch, about 4 lakh to 40,000 years ago. Netherlands lived in Eurasia, with traces discovered as far north as present day Belgium and south to the Mediterranean and Southwest Asia. Okay, they were not the only hominid human like species in existence on the planet at the time. Other archaic human groups such as Homo floresiensis and Denisovans also walked the earth. Human species. At the time of the Netherlands, there were several human species, and suddenly 40,000 years ago, all disappeared but one, said Professor Stefano Benzi at the University of Bologna, Italy. He is a physical anthropologist leading the Horizon funded Success project to research the earliest migration of Homo sapiens in Italy. It's important to understand what happened, he said. Of course. We already knew more about Netherlands than any other extinct humans thanks to thousands of excavated artifacts and fossils as well as several nearly complete skeletons. There are a number of competing theories as to why the Netherlands disappeared, such as climate change, the aggression of Homo sapiens, possible competition for resources, or even that Netherlands disappeared because they are interbred with Homo sapiens. Some human population alive in Europe and Asia today have as much as 3% Netherlands DNA. Benazzi investigated what happened to Netherlands in Italy around the time of that Homo sapiens arrived out of Africa. In Italy, we have a lot of dated archaeological sites, and we have a good overview of the different technological culture failing in the time period of interest, she said. Neanderthal extinction. A number of scholars argue that climate change may be pushed Netherlands, oh, okay, Netherlands towards extinction, while that may have been true in other places. It was not the case in Italy, Benzi explained. Okay, the Success project analyzed the pollen from Paleonica Lake, ancient lake corals, using minerals collected from ancient stalactites. These calcium isolates which hang inside caves, are effectively climate time machines, and researchers can decode what the climate was like when they formed. Through this approach, the Success Project reconstructed the paleoclimate, a prehistoric climate between 40 to 16,000 years ago. In contrast to ice core analysis from Greenland, there were no data indicating catastrophic climate change in Italy, making it unlike to have killed off the Netherlands. They closely examined a period of around 3,000 years when population of Netherlands and humans may have coexisted by excavating seven sites they once inhabited. They investigated the culture and tool making difference between the last Netherthirds and the first Homo sapiens in Italy. Homo sapiens in Italy used specific types of technology, including artifacts such as shell or ornaments and projectiles like arrowheads. In fact, success unearthed the earliest evidence of mechanical delivered projectile weapons in Europe. Weapons mismatch. Netherlands would have found themselves at a severe disadvantage to their Homo sapien relatives in terms of weapons technology. However, that meeting in Italy may never have happened. Recently discovered remains in southern Europe shows that at least one Netherland had been alive 44,000 years ago, while the oldest Homo sapiens remains have been dated to 43,000 years ago. It is possible that they overlapped, but none of the current evidence shows that. Benensi said. Each region is different. The result we get here in Italy doesn't mean that we are going to get the same result elsewhere, he said. In the Paleochar project, Carolina Mellol, a geoarchaeologist at the University of La Laguna in Spain, and currently a visiting professor at UC Davis in the United States, is raking through the ashes of time, seeking traces of Netherlands' lives and hints of their demises. Fire sediments. Okay. The goal is to study microscopic molecular shard matter from ancient fire sediments to see what organic material they left behind. The handicap of the archaeologist is the human world is organic and we can't get at it, said Melol, who studies Netherlands sites such as El Salt and Ebrick del Pastor in Spain. When organic matter such as a meat or plants is thrown in a fire, the heat dehydrates it, ultimately destroying its DNA and proteins. But fatty molecule called lipids can survive if the fire does not get hotter than about 350 degrees Celsius, as Melol and colleagues shows in their investigation. Paleochart was designed to explore how far we can take the analytical techniques to squeeze molecular information from the organic black layers in the fire, she said. Paleolipidomics, the study of the ancient fats, has been used to study lipids in Roman amphora, Egyptian mummies, and even prehistoric leaves. Biomakers Library. When it comes to ancient human sediments, we are the first ones to apply these techniques systematically, she said. They are also expanding the known lipid biomarkers, which are like molecular barcoders specific to species, families, or even metabolic pathways. With biomarkers, you can distinguish herbivores, herbivores from carnivores, conifers from angiosperms, she said. Okay. Mellor and his colleagues set up the world first Embryo Lab, which stand for Archaeological Micromorphology and Biomakers Research Lab, based in Tenerife, Spain, which trains researchers in the technique of soil microbiology and lipid micromorphology and lipid biomarker analysis. The questions about Netherlands, such as why they want extinct, are very ambitious, said Melol. Uh, those questions required that you first determine who they were and how they lived with a lot of information, and we don't have that information yet, she said. With each and new piece of information, archaeologists and scientists burrow deeper into the mystery of why our closest relative suddenly disappeared while Homo sapien managed to survive. Of course, that's the main question. So, yep. Let's. Okay, I guess there is no need for any summary of this article because it's already been explained by the author itself. So we are moving towards the next topic. Rodents are reservoirs for life-threatening disease, finds new study. Okay. Fungal disease in the human population are on the rise, so it's important for health authority to understand where the pathogens came from. Hmm. A new study has searched from fungi in the lung tissues of small mammals and found fungal pathogens that cause disease in humans. This suggests that these rodents can serve as reservoirs, agents of dispersal, and incubators of emerging fungal pathogens. Fungal disease in the human population are on the rise, so it is important for health authority to understand where these pathogens came from. A new study published in the Frontiers in Fungal Biology has revealed that small mammals could act as a reservoir for the fungal infections. Our analysis, which specifically focused on lung pathogen that cause disease in humans, detected a wide range of fungi in the lung tissue of small mammals, said Paris Salazar Ham, first author of the research of the University of New Mexico. We found that many of the rodents we sampled from areas in the southwestern US were harboring the type of fungi that can cause lung infection in humans, such as the fungus that leads to valley fever, a disease that typically causes flu-like symptoms and can be like threatening animal to human jump. Over the last 4 decades, there has been an increase in reports of novel human pathogens like the virus COVID-19 host germs have also allowed fungi to evolve and diversify. In some cases, this could increase their virulence and in turn have an impact on humans. We wanted to understand if the fungal spores of respiratory pathogens reside in soil because they feed on dead and decaying plant matter, or if they were instead living within small animals and their spores are released into the soil after the rodents die, explained Salazar Hum. Using next generation sequencing, a method that allows a quick assessment of the wide ranging species of fungi, the researcher analyzed fungal DNA in rodent lung tissues from museum specimens. We detected the fungus crocodioids, the cause of valley fever in the lung tissue of animals from Kern County, California, and Cochise and Maricopa counties in Arizona, area that have high rates of this disease, reported Salsar Hum. In addition, we detected a sequence from coccidioids in animals from Catron, Sierra, and Soroco counties in New Mexico, which is the first time this pathogen has been detected in the environment in this region. This is the first big study using next generation sequencing to access the fungi in the lungs of small mammals. Our results support the hypothesis that rodents could be a breeding ground for respiratory fungal pathogens, she continued. Monitoring the spread. The finding from the study hopes to inform health officials where there is potential for disease to be acquired locally. Current forecast of the distribution of crocodioids based on climate and soil conditions predict that valley fever will expand substantially northward, eastward over the next century as a result of climate change impacting environmental conditions. Our results will be informed these modeling effect efforts by adding a valuable information about animals as a reservoir for pathogens, explained Salazar Ham. Further study hope to examine the health of their host animals and how this may impact the spread of or virulence of the diseases. We were not able to access the health of mammalian host from which the lung tissues were acquired. Despite the presence of pathogens, it was possible to say uh, conclusively that they were disease, said Salazar Ham. It could be interesting to further explore the impact of the fungi on the mammals. That efforts would require more detailed information about the general health of the animal in question. Hmm. Okay, I guess there is no need for explanation, of course. Uh, so we are moving towards next topic. Water in asteroid dust offers clues to life on Earth. Okay, let's see. Specks of dust retrieved by Japanese space probe from an asteroid some 300 million kilometers from Earth have released a surprising component, a drop of water. Scientists said Friday. Okay. The discovery offers new support of the theory that life on Earth was seeded from outer space. Oh, the findings are in latest research to be published from the analysis of 5.4 grams of rocks and dust gathered by the Hayabusa 2 probe from the asteroid Ryugu. This drop of water has great meaning. Of course. Lead scientist Tokomi Nakamura of Tokyo University told reporters ahead of the research publication in the journal Science on Friday. Many researchers believe that water was brought from outer space, but we actually discovered water in Ryugu, an asteroid near Earth, for the first time. Okay. Hayabusa 2 was launched in 2014 on its mission to Ryugu and returned to Earth orbit 2 years ago to drop off a capsule containing the sample. Okay. The previous cargo has already yielded several insights, including organic material that showed some of the building blocks of life on Earth. Amino acid may have been formed in space. The research published Friday says the team found a drop of fluid in the Ryugu sample, which was carbonated water containing salt and organic matter. Nakamura said. Hmm. The bolsters the theory that asteroids like Ryugu or its larger parent asteroids could have provided water which contained salt and organic matter in collision with Earth, Nakamura said. Okay, of course. We have discovered evidence that this process may have been directly linked to, for example, the origin of the oceans or organic matter on Earth. Hmm. Nakamura's team, comprising about 150 researchers, including 30 from the United States, Britain, France, Italy, and China, is one of the largest teams analyzing the sample from Ryugu. The sample has been divided among different scientific France, Italy, China. The sample has been divided among different scientific teams to maximize the chance of new discoveries. Of course. Kenshi Kobayashi, an astrobiology expert and professor emeritus at Yokohama National University, who is not a part of the research group, hailed the discovery. The fact that water was discovered in the sample itself is surprising given its fragility and chances of it being destroyed in outer space, he told AFP. It does suggest that the asteroid contained water in the form of fluid and not just ice, and organic matter may have been generated in that water. Of course. So these are the things. These are the one. I mean, discovery uh, uh, given by our scientists from the world that we humans, or we are the people, uh, are not just having natural I mean this is a natural planet, it's being converted into this planet. So I mean, if it's going to be have a theory like this, it's it's going to be blown many minds of the researcher and scientists and many more philosophers around the world, of course. So let's move on towards next topic. Okay. Giant magnon spin wave conductance in ultra thin insulator surprises researchers. Hmm. When you make conducting wires thinner, their electric resistance goes up. This is Ohm's law, and it's generally right. An important exception is at very low temperature, where the mobility of electrons increases when wires become so thin that they are effectively two-dimensional. Now, University of Groningen physicists, together with colleagues at Brest University, have observed that something similar happens with the conductivity of magnons, spin waves that travel through magnetic insulators, much like a wave through a stadium. The increase in conductivity was spectacular and occurred at ambient room temperature. This observation was published in Nature Materials on September 22nd. Electrons have a magnetic movement called spin, which has a value of up or down. It is possible to accumulate one type of spin by sending a current through a heavy metal such as platinum. When those spins carried by electrons encounter the magnetic insulator YIG, yttrium, iron, garnet, the electrons cannot pass through. However, at the interface with YIG, the spin excitation is passed on. Magnons who are who can also carry spin are excited. These spin waves pass through the magnetic insulator like a wave. In a stadium, none of the electrons, the spectators, move from the space, but they nevertheless pass on the spin excitation at the detector electrode. The reverse process happens. The magnets make electronic spins, which then produce an electrical voltage, which can be measured, explains Bart Van Wees, professor of applied physics at the University of Groningen and specialist in fields such as spintronics. Hmm. Of course. Motivated by the increase of electron mobility in 2D material, his group decided to test magnet transfer in ultra thin nanometers YIG films. These films are not strictly 2D materials, but when they are thin enough, the magnets can also con only move in two dimensions. When Weiss explains, the measurement performed by PhD student Zhang Gang V produced a surprising result. The spin conductivity went up by 3 orders of magnitude in comparison to YIG bulk material. Hmm. Dramatic effects. Hmm. Scientists don't use terms like giant lightly, but in this case, it was fully warranted. Says when we made the material 100 times thinner, and the magnet conductivity went up 1000 times, and this didn't happen at low temperature as is required for high electron mobility in 2D conductors, but at room temperature. The result was unexpected and so far unexplained. When in our paper we give a tentative theoretical explanation which is based on the transition from 3D to 2D magnet transport, but that cannot fully explain the dramatic effects we observe. Hmm. So, what could be done with this giant magnet conduction? We don't understand it, says Van Wees. Therefore, our current claims are limited. This is enabling research that might point the way to some new yet undiscovered physics. In the long run, this might produce new devices as well. First author Jiang Wing adds, because there is no electron transport involved, the magnon waves produce no conventional heat dissipation, and heat production is a big problem in every smaller electronic devices. Hmm. Superconductivity, and as magnets are bosons, that is, they have integer spin quantum values, it might be possible to create a coherent state comparable to a Bose-Einstein condensate. When this might even produce spin superconductivity. All this is for the future. For now, the giant magnet conductance in YIG is well documented. The measurements are clear. We are looking forward to a good collaboration of theoretical physicists and experimentalists. Of course. Of course, there is no need for explanation. So we are moving towards the next topic. What you can do to reduce light pollution? Yes, it's being a major problem nowadays. Of course, let's read it and understand it. As the old saying goes, many hands can make light work. They can also work together to make light vanish. Urban light pollution is a large scale issue, but individual households can help their communities turn down the lumens while still ensuring safety. Nancy Clanton, chief executive of the Lightning Energy engineering firm Clanton and Associates in Boulder, Colorado, passionate about sustainable illumination. She is a member of the International Dark Sky Association Technical Committee, and she offered this advice to reduce light pollution in your neighborhood. Install time and motion sensors. The best way to reduce light pollution is to turn lights off completely. They are not needed. This will also save money on your energy bill. Motion sensors are a great way of controlling lights, so they only turn on when there's action nearby. Going to sleep. Set a nightly timer. The birds and your neighbors will both appreciate it. Use dimmable light bulbs. Dimmable light bulbs have switches that control the intensity of the light they emit. That way, you can use them at the brightest setting only when necessary. Make sure your dimmer switch and bulb are compatible to avoid flickering, which can be a nuisance to humans and animals alike. Choose warmer colors. Light bulbs with warmer or yellower tones are more suited to our circadian rhythm than bluer rhythm. That's why the night mode on our smartphone uses them. Okay. The tone is measured by the color temperature of a lamp. Avoid bright and blue daylight. Tons that have temperature exceeding 6000 degrees Kelvin. Instead, choose bulbs with the temperature lower than 3000 Kelvin. Shield all external lights. A safety light by the door does not need to illuminate a tree. Install a proper shield that blocks any light escaping skyward and redirects the beam entirely towards the ground. Shielding also helps using lamps that consume less power to provide the same amount of light where it is needed. Of course. So these are the findings. These are the results of the uh, new new I guess new pollution sorry, new casualties in the environment. So it's a requirement, of course. So okay, moving on towards the next topic. Scientists use modified silk proteins to create new non-stick surfaces. Okay. Researchers at Tufts University have developed a method to make silk-based materials that refuse to stick to water or almost anything else containing water, for that matter. In fact, the modified silk, which can be molded into forms like plastic or coated on the surface as a film, has non-sticky properties that surpass those of non-stick surfaces typically used on cookware, and it could see application that extend into a wide range of consumer products as well as medicines. Silk is a natural fiber spun by moths and has been used for thousands of years to make durable and fine fabrics and surgical sutures to close wounds. Hmm. More recently, scientists have learned to break down the fibers to their basic protein element, silk fibrin, and reconstitutes it into gels, films, sponges, and other forms to create everything from implantable orthopedic screws screws to textile inks that change colors in response to body chemistry. What makes silk such a unique material is that not only can it take a wide range of forms and shapes, but one can easily change its properties by chemically modifying the silk fabric, and said Krishna Kumar Robinson, professor of chemistry at Tufts. If we want to make orthopedic screws that are absorbed by the body at different rates using silk fabric, we modified the chemistry. He said, if we want to create a blood sensor that detects oxygen or glucose or other blood components, we modify the chemistry. In this study, we modified silk fabric to repel water, and we can do it in a way that can tune the material to be more or less water repellent. The advance was reported in the journal ChemBioChem. Turning silk into water repellent material involved covering the surface of the silk fabric with the short chemical chains containing carbon and fluorine called fluorofluorocarbons. These chains are very stable and do not react with other chemicals, nor do they interact with proteins and other biological chemicals in the body. While the natural surface of the silk protein acts like a magnet to water, with negatively and positively charged branches on the silk attracting water, a silk protein covered with perfluorocarbons leaves little for the water to grab onto. Perfluorocarbons even resist attraction caused by other forces that typically bring molecules together. Changing the number and length of the fluorofluorocarbon chains on the silk protein can adjust how unsticky it behaves. Luke Davis, assistant professor of chemistry, established the level of fluorine required on the surface of silk to exhibit non-stick behavior. The chemical synthesis is done under mild conditions, so unlike the production of other non-stick substances, the manufacturing process could be safer both for workers and the environment. Safer manufacturing and renewable biological source of material checks off two boxes for sustainability. The Tufts researcher measured the non-sticky property by observing how water beads up on the surface of the material, like how water rolls off a waxed card. In fact, on non-sticky silk molded into bars using the highest level of fluorofluorocarbons, the water rolled up into drops that are rounded even tighter than they do on Teflon. Hmm. It's not just water that rolls off the non-stick silk, but any substance that has water as a major component, which could include various foods, blood, cells, and tissues. Although not tested in the study, fluorinated materials are known to repel oils as well. Modifying medical devices to prevent detrimental interaction with water and other biologics has the potential to preserve strength and integrity for as long as they are needed, explained Julia Fountain, graduate student in Kumar's lab and co-author of the paper. Silk is already relatively inert to the immune system, so turning its ability to repel cells or other substances could make it even more useful. The advantages of highly non-stick surfaces go well beyond medical application, where while there is concern regarding chemicals absorbed in the body from commercially available non-stick coating, silk based non-stick surfaces may offer an alternative option which can be explored for its relative safety. One could also imagine automated windshields when rainwater just rolls off without using wipers, coatings on metals that help prevent rust, or on fabrics to make them easier to clean. The success we had with modifying silk to repel water extends our successes with chemically modifying silk for other functionalities such as the ability to change color, conduct electrical charge, or persist or degrade in a biological environment, said David Kaplan Stern family, professor of engineering at Tufts, is a protein. Silk lends itself well to modular chemistry, the ability to plug in different functional component on a natural scaffold. Hmm. Okay, okay. I guess there is no need for explanation, of course, because it's being well described by the author. That's how modified cell protein are created from the non-stick surfaces of uh, from the non-sticky surfaces. So, yep. Okay. Moving on towards the next topic, the plate boundary between Africa and Iberian Peninsula could cause large tsunamis. Hmm. A new study led by the Institute de Ciencias del Mar, ICM CSIC in Barcelona and Instituto Catalana de Research का I Institutes Aventas ICREA has revealed the exact location of the boundary between the European and African tectonic plates located in the Elbron Sea region. The work also evaluates its potential capacity to produce large earthquakes that in turn could trigger devastating tsunamis on the coast. The paper recently published in Nature Communication defines for the first time the complex geometry of these active fault systems and describes how they have been moving over the last 5 million years. Finally, the work demonstrates that the system has observed almost all of the deformation from plate collisions in this region. The quality of our data has allowed us to study for the first time the deep structure of these faults and thus quantify the deformation they accumulate. The result shows that this is the one of the most important fault systems in the region, that it has been absorbing most of the deformation caused by the collision of the Eurasian and African plates, explains Leora Gomez de la Pena, ICM CSIC, so researcher and lead author of the study. All the geological structure of the Elbron Sea subsurface has been extensively studied since the 1970s. Until now, the data were not sufficiently precise to understand the tectonics of the area. However, the quality of the data and the modern methodologies used to carry out this work has made it possible to characterize in detail a system of active faults that extends over 300 km long and is now considered the most important in terms of deformation accumulation in the Albion Peninsula. To carry out the study, we used the latest data acquisition techniques on board the Spanish oceanographic vessels Sarmiento de Gabo, and the processing was specifically designed to be able to observe the structure described now for the first time. Details ICM CSIC, a researcher, and ICRIA professor Cesar R. Renado, who has also participated in the study. Until now, it was unknown whether the Elbon Sea had large active faults as well as exact location of the tectonic boundary where the European and African plates collide. This knowledge is key to assess the seismic and tsunami risk to which the coastal areas of the western Mediterranean are exposed. In fact, sorry, in another study by the same group of experts in collaboration with GEOMAR, Germany, and in INGV, Italy, the author delve into the cinema genic potential of its plate boundary and suggests that this may be greater than previous thought. Most previous studies on seismic tsunami risk did not correctly consider these large faults due to lack of data, so the risk had been underestimated. These studies are a first appraisal of the seismic and tsunami potential of these large faults, which until now but almost completely unknown to us, and which must be thoroughly evaluated in future studies, concludes Gomez de Lipina. Hmm. Of course. So these are the things, these are the findings. Once again, going to have these tsunamis over the years. Yep, 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 yep. Hmm. Okay. Moving on towards next topic. Researchers reveal relationship between particular brain circuits and different aspects of mental well-being. Okay, of course. Associate Professor Miriam Klein Fluge and colleagues looked at brain connectivity and mental health data from nearly 500 people. In particular, they looked at the connectivity of the amygdala, a brain region well known for its importance in emotion and reward processing. The researcher used functional magnetic resonance imaging to consider seven small subdivisions of the amygdala and their associated networks rather than combining the whole region together as previous studies have done. The team also adopted a more precise approach to the data on mental well-being, looking at a large group of healthy peoples and using questionnaires that capture information about well-being in the social, emotional, sleep, and anger domains. This generated more precise data than many investigations, which still use broad diagnoses such as depression on or anxiety, which involve many different symptoms. The paper published in the journal Nature Human Behavior shows how the improved level of detail about both brain connectivity and well made it possible to characterize the exact brain networks that relate to the distinct aspects of the mental health. The brain connection that mattered most of the discerning whether an individual was struggling with sleep problems, for example, looked very different from those that carried information about their social well-being. Associate Professor Miriam Klein Flug at the Department of Experimental Psychology, based at the Wellcome Center for Integrative Neuroimaging, Win, said understanding how changes in the brain relate to changes in well-being is an important step in the journey towards more targeted mental health treatments. We looked at the brain in much finer subdivision than previous research, which more closely resembles how the brain is organized, and our findings indicate that it may one day be possible to develop very precise and non invasive ways to target specific areas of the brain, making future treatments much more refined. The researcher also found that the nature of the identified brain networks differed. For example, they discovered the connectivity in the evolutionarily older subcortical circuits was related more strongly to the tendency to experience negative emotions, while connectivity of the amyg- amygdala with both newer cortical and older subcortical circuits clearly contributed to social well-being. Hmm. The findings indicate the potential benefit of considering mental well-being and the involved brain networks at a finer scale than before, a scale than that more closely matches the brain's functional organization. Although more research is needed in the future, it might be possible to target treatments to the brain's circuits most relevant for individual key symptoms. This possibility is becoming more tangible with current progress in non-invasive deep brain stimulation methods such as ultrasound. For example, the paper relationship between nuclear specific amygdala connectivity and mental health dimension in humans is published in Nature Human Behavior, of course. So this is going to be neuroscience topic. Of course, the researcher reveals about the relationship, uh, about the basics of the relationship, that how this re- how the two-person relationship is far more better and help in many ways. So yep. Moving on towards next topic, a naturally occurring soil bacterium may provide a solution for forever chemicals. University of Tennis, Connexville faculty members of Sean Campagna, professor in associate department, head in chemistry, Frank Lofer, uh, governor chair, professor in microbiology, have made a discovery that could lead to new capabilities for managing environmental contamination. Commercially used PERD and polyphenol alkali substances PFAS were developed in the 1940s and made their way into a variety of common household products. Today's PFAS are used for plastic rubber manufacturing in food wrappers, umbrellas, firefighting foam, and more. PFAS has also been called forever chemicals due to the resistant to breaking down the both the environment and the human body. PFAS have been discovered lingering in rivers, Arctic sea ice, human breast milk, and the blood of 97% of Americans. Most troublesome is their potential impacts on mental on human health, and PFAS has have been linked to metabolic disruption, obesity, diabetes, immune suppression, and cancer. Lawford and Campaigner work recently published in the Environmental Science and Technology explores a potential avenue for decreasing broad contamination with these chemicals. Their team found that a natural occurring soil bacterium, Pseudomonas sp strain 273, was capable of degrading and detoxifying 110 diafluorodecane, a fluorinated compound that could be model for dealing with PFAS. Surprisingly, this bacterium was also able to use the fluorine containing bioproducts to build lipid bilayers or cellular membranes, which indicate that we don't yet know all that we should about the fate of this type of compounds in biological system. This research is important since fluorinated organic chemicals were are emerging contaminants, and we do not yet know how and if they enter the food's web, said Campagna. The fact that bacteria can incorporate breakdown products of these molecules into the biomass indicates that we don't fully understand the environment impacts of their contaminants. The discovery developed from a long standing series of collaborations between Campanagana and Loeffler and leverages the capabilities of both the Center of Environmental Biotechnology and the Biological and Small Molecule Mass Spectrometry Core. There is a pressing need to demonstrate that natural degradation process of for PFAS exists, that they are not forever chemicals, said Loeffler. The new findings emerge through collaborative efforts at the interface of disciplines, specifically environmental microbiology and analytical chemistry. My group obtained and characterized the unique microorganism, and Dr. Kempener group had the instrumentation and expertise to perform the analytical procedures. The results are a product of teamwork, and neither group individual would have succeeded. The Campaigner and Loeffler hope their work can lead to further discoveries of bacteria capable of degrading the entire range of fluorinated pollutants, which could lead to removing PFAS from contaminated area like drinking water. So, of course, so these are the findings by the given by the researcher, and having so of course providing the required minerals to the plants and the crops to have a mm, better production in them. So it's being a great of course s- it's a great finding of course. So at last, hmm, we have yes, we already previously discussed in the previously podcast, and we have started the newsletter and given the slide, but we still not given the offer till yet, and giving you telling you about $1 offer that will be provide 3 months, uh, not till next year, until 3 months. So if you are interested in that kind of information, subscribe to this. Otherwise, also subscribe to our free newsletter, which will be which will be given to you guys, and just hit it, and where you can subscribe it, it's here. If you click on the newsletter, it will be get direct into the page name post and square site. Under that, uh, you are we have been given the newsletter, paid newsletter things, but if you scroll it down, it's there in the loop. Stay in the loop, get the latest news where you sign up for our newsletter. So in this, it will be provided you the newsletter uh, of the new visitors, of course, and having a better knowledge that how um, our visitors or readers focusing on different topics. So it's like, we are hoping that these are the people going to know about, we going to know about you more, and also we will providing you this news and articles of every time, every day. So till then, keep researching, stay curious, stay healthy.